All right. Hi, everybody. We are so excited today to have Diane Sorensen with us. She is a parenting expert, and I actually met Diane through a mastery community, and I've just been very impressed with her insights on children's behavior and how the parent-child dynamic can affect relationships. And so I've heard some of her work as I've sat in on some of the parenting Q&As that she's conducted. And I just loved her message, and so we invited her to come talk with us today. So welcome, Diane, and can you kind of just go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. My education background is in early childhood education and behavioral science. I was an early childhood teacher for several years. I parented 3 children, and I'm now behavior specialist for an early childhood program.
Awesome. That's great. And so how long have you kind of been in that field for?
I've actually been in the field of early childhood development for 30 years.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so, yeah.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was gonna say, tell us a little bit about that. Like, why do you do it? What do you love about it? Why is that? Is that, what drives you? What's your passion? What got you into it?
All right. Yes. What I really love about it is how much I learn from the kids. They are amazing teachers. I always say we teach them about the external world. They teach us about our internal world. Yeah, so when I learned really to understand children's behavior rather than trying to get rid of the behavior or control the behavior, that's when I really found the joy in my work and also more joy in parenting. And that is my passion now, to bring that message forward, that really children they reflect really back to us ways in which we ourselves can evolve as adults. So I came, when I learned through conscious discipline, I learned how to be more conscious in my teaching and conscious in my parenting. And I think my children, and I came to this spot where I'm at today because of my struggles with parenting and because of the behavior that my children presented were very challenging for me. And so I thought one day, the little voice in my head said, there has got to be another way to do this. And so that's when I opened up to that. That's when I started learning how to be more conscious about what I was doing. And so really, I feel like my children were really the gateway for my evolving as an adult. And my work now, as I work with families and teachers and children, I continue that journey because I learn every situation I get into. I learn. I don't, when I work with parents or teachers or children, I don't come in as, okay, I'm the helper and I'm going to tell you what to do. I come into it learning too. And so we partner together and we figure out what is the best path forward for this child, or what is the best path forward for this parent or this teacher. And so we kind of figure that out together. And because everybody is individual, there's just something to learn from every situation. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like right now I have twin daughters at home that are about 1.5 years. So I feel like every day I'm learning something, and certain days you just want to pull your hair out, because, and it's funny how different they are. They're twins, but they have complete opposite personalities. And yeah, it's interesting how much I've been learning over the past year and a half. You know, these are my first two, so I'm just completely new to this. So I like
Yeah.
that. It's very insightful.
Yeah, and I think that is important because like you said, like kids all have different personalities. They're all individuals. And so finding what works for them, and it kind of is like a trial and error, what works for one
Right.
kid doesn't work for another. And same with, like you said, teachers, like teaching styles and different things. And for students for learning, we all have these individual characteristics. And so I love that it's a conscious effort to individualize that path and help that kid feel what they need from you. And
Yeah.
so especially right now, with I feel like a lot of parenting child dynamics are shifting, with now mom and dad are home all day and they're my
Right.
teacher. How do we navigate those waters? How do we handle this? And so what advice would you have for parents that are in that situation where they're in the thick of trying to keep their full-time job, trying to homeschool their kids, and just trying to manage it all? What direction would you give there?
Yeah, it is. It's um, uncertain territory. That's for sure. Uncharted territory. That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I think the biggest thing I think I would say is really know and to come in tune with how you are feeling inside. Um, what are your feelings? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling scared? Um, are you just pissed off because all this is happening? Really, how do you feel? Because I think we are so good at pushing away how we feel, or projecting it out onto, a lot of the time, our children. And so if we can start slowing down enough to really feel what we're feeling, because a lot of times what emotion is just energy in the body. And when we start feeling that, we tend to do something to take away that discomfort. So we might go to the refrigerator and get something to eat, although we might not really know what we want to eat. Nothing really sounds good, but and we're not really hungry. We just have this feeling that maybe that's hunger. Let's push that down. Or we disengage with our screens, or like I said, or we project it outwards. And so if we can put a pause between what's happening in that feeling, just kind of breathe into it, and be still enough to allow ourselves to feel that feeling and then name it. Again, I feel angry, I feel anxious, I feel worried, and then just honor that. And what can I do so that I'm managing this feeling? And I would say start with some kind of routine. Start with like a morning routine. And so get up 15 minutes, get up at the same time every day, even though now we're, in this weirdness where we don't need to get up and drive to work and be there at a certain time, get up at the same time every day. Get your energy right for the day before the kids get up. If they usually get up at a certain time, get up 15 minutes earlier, get yourself a cup of coffee, sit down, kind of, just know how you feel, and get your energy right for the day. And then check in with yourself 2 or 3 times during the day. How am I feeling right now? And honor that. And again, what is calming to your body? What is soothing to you? Allow yourself to have some of those things. Because if you bring a calmness to you, then your children feel that too. They feel that, and it feels safe and it feels reassuring. Because the deal is, our state dictates their state. So whatever we're feeling, they're gonna feel. And that doesn't mean pretend you're not feeling it or make it go away. It means manage it, honor it, and listen to those messages. And then you can honor your children's feelings too, and help them name how they're feeling. and kind of normalize it that, yeah, this is the way a lot of people are feeling right now. You're not alone. And, this is kind of how I'm feeling too. So, yeah. And then I would say the other thing is connection. Just connect with your kids. I know there's a lot going on. There's work, there's school, but I would say the most important thing is to build those connections. Manage how you feel, help your children manage how they feel, and then connect. And that doesn't have to be like, big times during the day. You can just sprinkle little connection times in during the day. Sit down for 5 minutes, put your hand on somebody's knee and, just check in with them. Being present is really important. That's really all our children want, is for us to know that we're there and that we care and that we understand.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was one of the questions we were going to ask is, what is, one important thing a parent can do when a child's having a rough time? And I think that kind of answers it. We have kids that are experiencing high levels of anxiety and stress, because they're just out of a routine. So
yeah. And I'd say too, when kids are having a hard time, see that behavior as a call for help. Really seeing that behavior as what they're doing is they're expressing their insides on the outside. And a lot of times we take that behavior personal, like it's about us, like, oh, they're disrespecting me, or they're not listening to me, or there must be something wrong with me that this behavior is happening. And it's not about you. It's about how they're feeling inside. That's how they express themselves. And so how we see their behavior really dictates how we respond or react to them. So if we see their behavior as, oh, that's disrespect, and oh, it's driving me crazy, we're going to react to them in probably not real helpful ways. So if we see it as, oh, you seem, anxious, or you seem disappointed, or whatever that is, and kind of just give them that understanding. Take your best guess at what is going on for them. It's just, you seem disappointed. It's hard not to be able to see your friends, or it's hard that you were looking forward to graduation and now it's going to be so different. So just giving them that understanding that, oh, you got me, is really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah. Sorry,
and when kids do make poor choices, just to see that as mistake. And that's really what misbehavior and poor choices are. They're mistakes. And we all make mistakes, and kids are going to make lots of mistakes because they're just learning how to navigate this world and their place in it, and all their emotions. And so they're going to make mistakes. And a lot of times we end up either persecuting them for the mistakes or rescuing them. Sometimes we do both. And so, like, for an example, an easy example to give is like a child does their homework, and then the next day they forget. And I know this isn't happening right now, but you'll get the
in
gist.
general. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go to school, they forget the paper, they're going to get a failing grade on the paper because they don't have it. They call you, and first off, we persecute them by, oh, I can't believe you did that. I told you 3 times to put that in your backpack. And why didn't you put it in your backpack last night? And da-da-da-da-da-da. And then we go, okay, I have a break at 10. I'll drop it by the school at that. And so then we fix it for them. We rescue that for them. Instead of allowing them to have the natural consequence for their choice. A lot of times we don't want to do that because we don't want them to feel the pain of that, or we don't want to feel the pain of that. But yeah, it's really hard. You spent all that time on your assignment last night, and I saw you working really hard, and it's really hard now that you're going to get a failing, you're not going to get credit for doing it. That's hard. So what we're going to do is you can think of a way, you have a plan. So next time, going forward, you might be able to remember how, for your papers, or would you like me to help you have a plan so this can go smoother next time, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, it's kind of letting them have a little bit of that sting of that choice, of natural consequences. We're really good at handing out these consequences, but we're not always so good about just letting them have that natural consequence. And there are times when, we might need to impose a consequence, like, I don't know, if you've spent a lot of money on something and you're not willing to just have the natural consequence being, well, that's going to get stolen or whatever, then you might impose some kind of a consequence to help them know that they need to take responsibility. But with that, I would also have a plan, help them with a plan, how, you'll be able to get, I don't know, your iPad back. We're going to put it away for 2 days. And during that 2 days, we're going to come up with a plan so you know how to take care of the iPad or whatever it is. So we're not just, giving them these consequences and, not really helping them figure out how to improve that in the future.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. I think, with this crazy time and everything that's going on, is we kind of have to view it as an opportunity, right? Because we're probably experiencing emotions there, that we've never felt before. They're experiencing something they've never handled before. And so just looking at it as, that opportunity to say, okay, let me get centered with myself so that I can emulate that for my kids. And then also give them the skills to learn how to cope and learn how to talk through things. And it is kind of a unique opportunity that we've been given, to instead of seeing it as, oh, this sucks and I hate life, we can maybe spin it to see the positives that, it is a chance for them to learn those adult skills of how to cope with things when they don't go our way and when unexpected things come up and different things like that. So have you seen in your work with things like certain coping skills that are better than others for kids when tensions and anxieties are high?
I would probably say, a good coping skill is really empathy, and being able to empathize with ourselves, and also being able to empathize with our kids. And again, that builds that, you get me, you understand, not that we can fix things, but just that we're there and we care. That's really what they need to know. I'd say getting outdoors as much as possible, out in nature, move your body, get that energy, that built up energy moving around, and release some of that. Journaling is always a good coping skill. Just write it out. Getting it out on paper sometimes is just really helpful. So how do I feel? How do I want to feel? And kids can do it too. Or drawing, how would my insides look on paper right now? And letting kids do that too. And just talking to somebody. If you have everybody needs a person. Yes. So just have somebody that you can talk to, or somebody that your kids can talk to. And sometimes it's not always us as the parents that they want to talk to. Sometimes, it's a teacher or a friend or somebody who can just listen to them, and to us too. And sometimes when it's outside of the home, sometimes it can be a little more objective. So humor is a good coping skill. with everything happening, we can get stuck on all the things that aren't going well. So, bring some humor into your day every day. Any way that you can do that, and try to focus on the good that's happening. And notice that and comment on that. Maybe your kid, all of a sudden is a lot better at getting his room clean because he's got
more time,
spending more time in it or something. And, notice those things.
So question, we have like a real life parent situation that I guess I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on it. A parent that has an adopted daughter with RAD, just refusing to do homework, kind of having a rough time. Is there anything specific that you might give advice to that parent?
Could she scale the homework time down to, even 10-minute segments, if possible, and then weave, some kind of movement in with that, or some kind of connecting with her, and then going back and maybe doing another 10 minutes of work. So for some kids, you really got to scale it down.
Okay.
Because some kids, sitting for half an hour and doing this isn't going to work. So let's move around and then get 10 minutes in. Then let's do something else and let's get another 10 minutes in. That might be helpful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have a dance party or something, release some of that, the wiggles. That
music,
works for me. So.
Music is really great too. Yeah, put on some music and
I love that. Well, and I think something you said too of, complimenting the kid on what they're doing well is another opportunity for parents is, maybe they're not going to be the smartest at math by the end of this year, but, they learned a new skill. Like let's say they're super interested in engineering and they did like a STEM project or something where they're kind of using their imagination and they're excited about learning again. Like, I think we as parents and educators kind of need to cut ourselves some slack this year and say, hey, if the kid's still loving learning on something that they're interested in, that's still a win, right? And
absolutely. And hands-on, anything hands-on that they can be doing is awesome.
Cooking,
and just
chores,
focusing on their strengths and helping them feel competent and confident is really huge. So
I love that.
Awesome.
And I can't remember if it was you, Diane, or if it was somebody else in one of the groups that we had a discussion with, but basically they said, that right now during this time that the relationship is kind of the most important thing because, as your kids look back on this, they're going to remember, like, how did mom and dad handle this? How did I handle it? What did I learn from this experience? And so I love all these pointers of just the connection. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Probably the most important thing you can really do right now is nurture that relationship. Yeah, make those connections and just, as best as you can, be the person you want your child to become. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because, they learn the best through the context of a safe, nurturing relationship. Yes. We often think that we need to, use fear as a way to get children to comply. That's kind of the old traditional way that we have to kind of unlearn. Because we now know through neuroscience and research that fear is a barrier to learning. Fear is a barrier in our relationships. So fear is not a motivator to learn. So it kind of breaks down the relationship and it keeps children stuck in their survival, fight or flight mode. So then that's very hard to turn off and access those higher brain skills when we are dangling fear of something, of them losing something, or a fear of, well, if you do this, you'll get this. It's still the fear of not getting that and, feeling like, oh, I wasn't enough again. So,
kind of just that perpetual never good enough because I'm always,
Right. So my passion is, kind of changing that paradigm and really helping children grow in all areas of their life through the relationship.
That's awesome. I love that. Did you have any other questions, Sarah?
No, I thought this was great. It was really insightful. I thought Diane had a lot of good tips. I don't have any further questions.
Anything else you'd like to add, Diane?
I guess I'd just like to say that, behavior patterns are handed down generation from generation to generation. And so now in our new modern world, we need new skills. And so that's why I'm so passionate about really being conscious and taking a step back and looking at what am I modeling to my children? What are the things that I'm saying and doing? Is my response to my child nurturing my relationship with them? Is my response to my child helping them to learn to regulate their emotions? Is my response to my child helping them become a problem solver? Is my response to them helping this behavior in the long term? So yeah, those are things that kind of need to think about, and just honor yourself so you can honor your children.
I love that. And I know you're kind of, launching your own kind of parenting advice type stuff. So where can people find you if they want to learn more and connect with you a little bit more?
All right. I do have a website, dianesorensen.net.
Okay.
It's called Beauty and Behavior. And I also have a Facebook page, so you can find me on Facebook at Beauty and Behavior as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Diane, for coming and talking with us and giving us these great pointers. And we really appreciate you taking the time. And thanks again.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah.